I'm Sharad Heda, and I've been in the IT industry for the 40 years. Most of what I've done is building a technology services company right from scratch, and for the last 30 years, been involved in building it into a large global leader. So for me, looking at wanting to become a coach essentially came from building a second line of leadership whom I was otherwise mentoring, whom I was otherwise coaching at Microland, to see how can we create a second line and then slowly fade out as we hand over the business to the next generation. And since most of our folks were either in India or were Indians but based out of other parts of the world, it was very important for me to find a coaching institution which could help, which could work from a perspective of an Indian leader who's wanting to build a global organization. And that's what led me to what I would call as my primary target segment. And what happened after that in the PGPEC program, it actually really brought that out much better. For me, it was a great work. It was the first year when we were going online completely because of COVID. And I think the way the entire program transformed, the way online became very effective, was an eye-opener for me. We've all been high-tech folks who know how to build remote stuff, but I think this was a great example of a change management. And just as we are going through leaders as change management, I think it was a great example that came from CFI. So having said it, for me, the key takeaways was a phenomenal self-awareness journey, and it was a confidence awareness journey. Self-awareness because somebody like me who's always been an expert in the room providing answers to folks who came to me with possibly specific challenges or solutions, need for solutions, it was about moving to be a guide by the side, and hence it fundamentally meant, instead of giving how to give smart answers, how do you ask smart questions so that a person can himself find all those answers? Now that asking smart questions was a very, very important mission. That obviously the fact that you your own interns, you do a coaching, you see a transformation in them, builds your own confidence. And that's essentially that 1 year did to us, in addition to all the peer learning that ends up happening in. But as it ended up, we also took a call, and this is something which has just happened in the last few months, that what was really important was to be able to build the second line of Microland leadership. And that was fundamentally the objective with which I started. And as it happened, while the organization progressed in the post-COVID area, we realized that we really had the team getting ready, and it was time for me to move out of being full-time with Microland. And that's what we did in the last quarter. So what was started as meant to focus on coaching within Microland actually became much more important for me as my journey for the next 10 years of being my second innings of being a coach, not just within Microland to the selected leaders, but more importantly, to be a coach to the customers whom I would like to engage with. And that's how the journey started a quarter back, 4-5 months back to be precise. And to be able to prepare myself for that, I did a few things, and maybe those are my learnings of what made work for me. I've been very fortunate to have got a few coaching engagements, and they're fortunately progressing very, very well. So the first thing which I think worked was to be very clear, who am I and where I can deliver differential value. For me, having worked in tech world, focusing on high-tech companies in their growth journey, or companies which have now lived for 10-15 years and want to transform themselves, leaders of such organization were mostly first-generation entrepreneurs, sometimes from promoter-driven, was the segment that I chose to focus on. My credibility sort of helped me in terms of being able to get started there. And obviously, then these are the people who are mostly in the 40 to 50 years, and therefore are little want to build a unicorn of tomorrow, but are a little more comfortable with a younger coach than a very, very experienced coach. So that was first thing. The second thing is one needs to build or leverage your existing ecosystem. CFI does help you build a very good part of that ecosystem. The coaches who help you, the seminars that are done, have additional trainings that come in, the peer guidance that ends up happening when you're taking a coaching engagement, that's essentially to make the coaching successful. But what you need to do is to be able to attract customers. In a way, you have to build your network and your virtual world personality. And that is the second area where I did some time on. In my own coaching experiences, what really, really helped me is to be very coachee-centric. That's something which CFI drills in you, right? Tools help a lot. Obviously, all tools, all certifications help left. But winning empathy and trust of the coachee by genuinely being interested in well-being, that's what I think really made a difference for me when I had to get that coachee open up and start talking to me. So when in doubt, ask yourself, is this in the best interest of your coachee? Was the third thing. The fourth thing was using CFI process as guiding light to be able to step by step make the progress and make things happen. For me, CFI process has really helped to make sure that one is able to structure the engagement, give a visibility to both the coachee and the sponsor on what's going to come, and really follow it through to make sure that you're making step-by-step progress. Lastly, for me, I think what is working as I'm moving forward is to integrate coaching principles in all that you do. As I work as a business mentor or a scaling consultant to my customers or the places where I'm doing consulting, bringing coaching in it, looking at the person to scale as well as the organization to scale, has been, let me say, a different way of looking at delivering value. So when coaching becomes integral, you actually start really adding value to that in everything in your life. It's been good journey so far. Obviously, if I can coach a senior woman leader, or I can coach a leader who's transitioning to build a global multicultural org, or a coachee of Western origin who is being groomed to be a CEO of an Indian multinational, I think that's the next journey that's going to be happening. All in the same domain, and sometime, maybe a little later, move out of the domain of high tech and use the fact that you can build leaders in any other part. Very excited, very happy to have seen it. I'm changing myself, and I see the next 10 years as very, very interesting years going forward.